Hello, everybody. We are live, and I just want to say welcome to another episode of Money Moves. And hopefully, you guys are taking notes. Unless you're driving, don't do that if you're listening to us on Spotify or one of the other podcast formats. But we've got some great information for you today. Before we get started, Wendy, how are you? And how was your tax day? Yesterday was April 15th. I'm sure you're excited, right?
Tax day is the best day of the year. Said no one ever.
I know, said no one ever. Here's the joke, folks. We pay our taxes in the United States to the IRS. You take those two words and put them together, THEIRS, it spells theirs, and they're going to figure out a way to get theirs out of your pocket. So that's an insider financial joke for you there. And it's funny because it's true. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we've got some exciting stuff. We're actually going to be talking about the top 3 reasons you need a personal financial plan now. So get ready, grab a pen and paper if you can, and get ready to take some notes because we're going to talk about what you can do in 2024 to make this time next year so much more exciting for you financially and some money moves you can make. So we'll get started here in just a few seconds. So welcome back, everybody. And looking at why do you need a personalized financial plan? First of all, most people out there, especially in middle America, working class, and I think everybody will agree, do not have a true personal financial plan on building wealth or what they're doing with their money. They're just kind of hoping it all works out. I got my 401k and this, that, and the other. And you hope it all works out, right? But here's the problem. You don't get a do-over. And most people are missing so much opportunity because they're just letting it happen, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know what to do with their money. And the reason they don't get a personalized financial plan, number one, is they don't think they have enough money. You know, you see a lot of ads out there on social media, things like that. If you have $1 million or if you have, $750,000, give us a call. For the rest of you, pound sand, right? And so, it's like, oh, wow, I guess I don't have enough. And number two, you've got a lot of people that, and it's funny because it's being marketed as the whole fiduciary thing. First of all, most financial, if you have a license, you're pretty much a fiduciary, right? Whether you charge by the hour, get a commission or whatever. But it's turned into this whole marketing thing that, well, I'm going to charge you by the hour. And so that way, you're getting good service. That is such a misnomer. I'll just say that, right? I'm just going to not even say what I'm actually thinking.
Like you said, marketing.
It's marketing, right?
Yeah.
Because, if the whole point is they want to charge you by the hour. And some of these people are outrageous. I've got a friend of mine, their company, they charge $5,000 to $10,000 for the plan. That's just for the plan, right? And then $250 an hour after that. So if you want to meet with them to talk about your stuff, okay, we'll do it. It's $250 an hour. I'm like, okay, well, no wonder middle class isn't getting the help they need. And they're the ones that need the help, right? They're the ones that, hey, I want to be able to afford that one day. But I need somebody to help me. So they're left to just kind of figure it out. But that process and why you need the plan, and these are the top 3 things we're going to talk about today. Number one is the empowerment, right? It's like, I've got a clear plan. I mean, I know you've experienced this with TPG and myself, right? So talk about that, Wendy. What did you feel like when that happened, when you got your personal plan?
Well, prior to that, I'll preface by saying this. Prior to that, I thought, I just need to create all these streams of income and I'm not worried. It'll work out. It'll just work out, right? But what I found is that I was always spending what I made, right? Thinking, I'll just make more money. And when I got my personal plan from TPG, it was the first time I truly sat down. I've had people try to sell me on things before, like sit down with somebody selling you one type of account and saying, you should do this. But I've not sat down and had that full financial picture. And when I got my plan from TPG and seeing like, okay, if I do this in year 1, 2, and 3, and I do this in year 4, 5, and 6, and I do this in the, the years after that, Here's what I can build. Here's what it can pay me in retirement. Here's what it looks like. Then all of a sudden you go from like just going, oh, I guess, we'll figure it out, or I hope it works out. Like we say that all the time. I hope it works out, to going, I know that if I do this, this is the result. So then I'm able to make better decisions today with my money because I know a tangible future. Whereas if we don't have that financial plan in place, it's not tangible and it's harder to make those solid decisions because you don't know really what you're fighting for. It's like an elusive goal instead of a set, a set for sure thing.
Yeah, and I agree. And to simplify it, it's kind of like, you're going to go on a road trip or take the family on vacation somewhere, right? You're going to get out your map, your GPS, or whatever the case may be, right? And you're going to plan your trip when you're going to leave. Okay, I got to go through Atlanta to get to Disney World, so I don't want to hit it at 5 o'clock. So we got to leave at a certain. So it's a clear written plan, right? And yet, so many people they don't do that with their finances, and so it's like this like fingers crossed, right? I hope it all works out. And most times, it doesn't, and you're not getting the education. That's one of the key factors. We've talked about that in a previous video too, is you've got to be educated on how all these things work, right? It's not just telling you what to do, because you're right. Like your experience, and I've had the same experience. You run into a person with a certain license and they sell you the one thing that they got, or, if they're doing the same thing with everybody, whether it's, infinite banking or whatever the case may be. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for everything. All products are good. There's levels of good, and some of them aren't so great, right? There's better things for you, but that's why it's so critical that personalized plan, not something that you fill out online and it spits out this auto report, right? And then all of a sudden you start getting a call from a bunch of people trying to, hey, or it's the one thing, I don't know where that came from, but it's one of those things that personalized plan with the education backing it is really going to help you feel empowered. The light bulbs are going to start going off in your head, and you're all of a sudden you're thinking, I can do this.
Right.
And it should be based on your budget, right? So I can do this on my budget. Now, granted, if you're, 25, 35, starting out in life, you got young kids, lots of bills and stuff like that. Well, when you hit 45, 55, you're going to be making more money typically, right? And your bills should be paid down. That should be part of your plan, not just growing money. Again, you want a holistic plan on building wealth. And your plan should cover all those different factors, but you're going to start putting more money away. And it should stair step. 10% of your income, right? That rule applies when you're like 25 to 30, not 45 to 50, just getting started. Okay. You got to step up your game, but that's where the planning piece comes in. So, specifically, what does your retirement look like? What do you want to accomplish? What is retirement for you? How much do you want to have coming in? Do you want to live on the beach? Do you want to live here in the mountains, or wherever? Right. But that's why it's so critical. So the second thing is, really working with a professional. I remember when I first started my financial journey back in my first job with my 401k, I talked to a guy named Bill at the water cooler. Literally, no kidding. We were in the kitchen at a bank that I was working at. I'm like, well, what are you doing on your 401k? And he's a smart guy, and I'm still friends with him today, love him to death. And he is a smart guy. But he's probably not the best person, because I didn't tell him what I was trying to accomplish. And I'm doing this, this, and this. Okay, well, that sounds good. Why? Because I didn't know anything different at the time, right? I was 23, 24. And okay, and so many people do that though. Or they'll talk to somebody that they worked with, a retiree, oh, hey, what are you doing? And they take that as financial advice. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're trying to steer you wrong or anything, but I don't know that I want to bank my future on that.
Yeah, I was talking to a client the other day who the only person she had sat down with was the person through her work, basically the benefits guy, right? And saying, oh yeah, you're set. You're putting this percentage in your 401k and we match, you're good to go. Like that is not a retirement plan, because then looking at her, she's like 2 years out from retirement, looking at her, she's going to outlive her money. She has till she's 80 something, early 80s. But nobody sat down and told her that, because she didn't actually sit with a financial professional giving a holistic look. It was one guy, benefits guy at her work, saying, oh yeah, you're good.
Well, and that's the thing. And don't get me wrong, like I said, if they probably had no malicious intent. And what they're looking at is, just simply, okay, well, yeah, you're getting the match, so you're good. That's not a plan. I mean, and that's not the plan you should want for you or your family. I mean, looking at what areas should you be looking at? You should be looking at your cash flow, what's coming in versus what's going out, right? You should be looking at your debt. If you have debt, get out of debt. You know, that's one of the things, I talk about Dave Ramsey, Susan Orman, and those groups. I got started with a group called Crown Financial Ministries, and we talked a lot about the debt snowball and how to apply that. I applied it to my own life. Get out of debt so you can put that money towards your growth, because at the end of the day, you're going to ultimately want to stop working, okay? Or you're physically going to have to, and you need money. And with medical advances and things like that, I mean, I just had last week, I had an emergency surgery. It was an appendectomy, right? Here I am today, like, man, no big deal. I'm a little sore, but that technology, we're going to live longer. And so the big fear is, okay, well, how do I make my money last? And if you're not planning for that, there's a question. How do I protect it? How do I plan? If you've got kids, I want to pass on that money. How do I get good growth? Why am I going up and then going down and then going up and going out? It doesn't have to be that way. And so that's really where that personalized plan really comes into effect. And now you have a clear roadmap. If you do A, B, and C, it's going to equal D.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing, one thing that, you and the Turning Point Group, we do is we also don't just look at the growth, but we look at the tax implications of things. And that's where, when you're not sitting with somebody that knows what they're doing, that's a professional that works in this, right? Like, you might be great at what you do in life and you should keep doing that, right? But let people that know what they're doing when it comes to those taxes too. It's not just about the growth. And that's something, until coming into contact with TPG, I didn't even know. I didn't even know I could control my taxes in retirement. I didn't even know what that meant. And so that's a big part of what we can do too.
It is, because so many people, my 401k, my 401k, my 401k, that's all pre-tax. Self-employed people, it's the same way. IRA. And, they'll hear from their CPAs and accountants. Again, no malicious intent, but it's just they're focusing on their little cubby hole, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, we need to save taxes on this year. Let's put more money in your IRA. Okay, and they're not incorrect. And even with a 401k, you will save taxes this year. Right. But let's look at the big picture, right? So flash forward 20 years from now. So say you're, 60 or you're 45, 47, or whatever, you retire 20 years from now. Ask yourself this question. You don't have to be a financial, guru or an economist or anything like that. Do you think tax rates in the United States will go up or go down between now and the next 20 years? Go up, probably, right? Again, I'm not a tax guru, wizard, or whatever. I don't have a crystal ball, but just based on what I'm seeing, 34, probably 35 trillion now in debt going up and things like that. So let's see, I get to retirement. I'm not putting money in my 401k anymore, so I lose that deduction, or my IRA. My kids are no longer at the house. Well, they may be living at the house with you, but you're not writing them off anymore. I'm also not doing any tithing or charity. Because now I want to donate my time to that cause, because I really care about that cause, right? So you lose that deduction. And then lastly is your mortgage interest, right? I'm not going to be able to write that off, because that's all front loaded when I first bought the house. And ideally, as you go into retirement, you want to be debt free, including your house, right? So now you have nothing to write off other than your standard deduction. Again, this is why the IRS, it spells theirs, because they can wait 40, 50 years for you to get done with your career. They're going to be there. Okay. So if you have a tax strategy where it's all, and I don't want to get on all taxes, but yesterday was tax day. But if you have a tax strategy like that, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm getting hit full hilt. Not to mention now your Social Security, up to 85% of that can be taxed as well. And that's added in last. Think of it like a graduated cylinder. So that's going to get taxed at the highest rate last. And it's like, okay. And, I've talked about this before too. The whole, you'll be in a lower tax bracket at retirement. 9 times out of 10, that is BS. Why? Are you going to take a tax cut or a pay cut in your retirement years when now you actually get to go travel and stuff like that? Probably not. Right. Not to mention you got inflation. So 5,000 today, in order to have the same buying power, if you've got 5,000 coming in 20 years from now with inflation, you're going to need at least 10. Yeah. Right. So you got to think about all this stuff. And that's why it's so important that you have that personalized financial plan. And then lastly, working with a professional. Number one, they're going to educate you on, different strategies and things to think about. They're going to give you, look at it holistically. Hopefully, if you're only focused on growth with your person and all your money is just stick it in the mutual funds, you're working with the wrong company. But lastly, they're going to have access. A well-trained financial professional is going to have access and knowledge on a wide variety of different strategies and products for you in all those different areas. And that's some of the stuff I know personally. I had a financial advisor with a well-known company. I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but it's one of those things that they focused on one area with me. I was, again, my late 20s, just starting my family. And I'm like, okay, that's what, you're the professional, never explained anything to me. And I'm just like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to trust you that it's all going to work. They're not even in the industry anymore. Right. And it's like, and they set me up with some basic stuff where they got a commission, right. And they got paid, but it was bad. I mean, I still have some of the products today, but it wasn't really a whole approach. It wasn't a whole plan. And they didn't expose me to everything that's out there and educate me and let me make those educated decisions. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of like going back to what I said before, I had the guy that wants to plug me into the one thing, or, I had my guy that was my PNC guy who's like, oh, we could also set you up with these things. Right. And so I've learned, especially like in what we do, is there are so many things out there, so many options as products, and so many different ways that those products can be used and leveraged for our benefit. And also there's people out there that don't know what they're doing. But one thing that I didn't realize, I guess, is, I think a lot of people that I talk to today just think, oh, I'm just going to open my Robinhood account or my this or that, or, what Vanguard, and just do it myself, read the books and do it myself. But I didn't realize until being in this industry how much the average person doesn't even have access to. Like, you can't even set up the type of accounts that we can have access to as licensed professionals. So, and yeah, just getting with, I think just reiterating what you said, that holistic approach and really looking at the full financial picture. If you don't have someone doing that with you, interview people, find someone else that will look at the whole picture from now till retirement years and educate you so that you have the mindset and the knowledge to be able to make good decisions with your money. Yeah. And that's what I've loved about, that's why I work with TPG, because that's the experience that I had.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add to that, just like you have like car insurance, for example, and I coach people that you should shop your car insurance at least every other year, if not annually. Okay. You want to work with a non-captive agent, right, that has access to multiple different strategies in companies, right? So they can shop your accounts every year to give you the best rate possible. You should do the same thing. And I talk to a lot of people, well, why do you have a financial advisor? So I don't need to talk about it. How long have you been using that person? 20 years. Well, what's your rate of return? I don't really know. They're doing a good job for me. Okay, well, have you looked at anything else? And, that's something that you want to, it's okay to work with a couple of different risers, multiple heads, right? It's okay to work with a couple of people, but you also want to make sure that your person is, checking in with you every year and exposing you to as much opportunity as possible, because you get one shot. You're not going to retire at 67 and say, well, dang, we didn't quite get it there, so let's go do it again. You don't get that. Every time you experience a market loss, it takes 4 or 5 years to come back your money. Guess what? That's 4 or 5 years of growth you lost. And if you're in your, late 40s, early 50s right now, mid 50s, you've experienced at least 3 of those, and you've probably got another 1 or 2 coming before you actually retire. Each time you're losing 3 or 4 years of growth. That's huge, because multiply that out, that's 15 years of the 35 years you're working that you weren't really growing. This is why people are getting into trouble as they go into retirement. So again, just to recap, the first one, number one, you want to be educated and empowered. Okay, that's why you want a personal financial plan. Okay, now you know what works for you. Not everybody in your neighborhood, you specifically on your goals. Okay. Number 2 is the fact that, you want to have that knowledge, right? And that holistic plan on really what's going on with all the different areas, not just focusing on growth, right? They're going to be able to expose you things that may be missing, okay, to your plan. Okay, well, yeah, I'm doing all these things. Yeah, but you're not even thinking about taxes. So you're going to end up giving it all to Uncle Sam. Don't get me wrong. Ukraine's a grateful, but is it really going to help you out in retirement? That was a little political plug, sorry. And then number 3, those financial professionals are going to have access to a lot of things that you may not even be considering, right? Yeah. Stuff is changing all of the time, and working with that licensed financial professional, they're gonna take care of you. Okay, it's not just, oh, I'm charging you X per hour, so that means I'm better. No, it doesn't. Okay, that is a marketing ploy. Just know that. But again, take action. Don't just sit back and hope it all works out, because 9 times out of 10, if that's what you do, imagine I'm just going to drive to Disney World and take the family there. Well, how are we getting there? When are we leaving? I don't know. We'll just get in the car and start driving. It'll all work out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
We'll figure it out, right? No. Because again, you don't get a do-over. At least in the car, you can figure it out. Stop. Okay, now let me start over again. But it's never too late. Remember that. And no matter what your budget is, you can be putting money away to make your retirement and wealth a better situation than it is maybe today. If you need help on that, we would love to help you. We do this stuff all the time. Reference the Black Swan Money Moves. We'll give you a free financial plan. Do something with it or not, that's completely up to you. But at least now you know what's going on. Reach out to Wendy at Wendy Lee Online or me at Black Swan Money. Just give us a DM. You see us on Instagram, you see us on Pinterest, you see us wherever. We're not hard to get a hold of, but we'd love to help you out as well. And again, take time to get empowered and start making money moves for you. Don't let your 2024 end up like your 2023 did. So everybody have a great day. We'll see you next week on another Money Moves. And thanks.